Alright, so a couple weeks ago, Selena finally came into Duel Links, and along with her came some much-needed Lunalight support. Now, we got the big boss monster Lunalight Leo Dancer. It's got 3 powerful effects. 1, it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. 2, it can make a second attack during a battle phase. And 3, after you've attacked with it at the end of the damage step, you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. It's got 3,500 attack points, it's super hard to kill, and it's a really powerful boss monster that this deck really needed. We also, of course, got the Lunalight Panther Dancer to help make the Leo Dancer. We also got a few new skills to go along with the deck as well. Although, to be honest, I feel like the skills were kind of underwhelming, and as a result, Lunalights are still kind of underwhelming when it comes to being a meta deck. I believe you can still hit king of games with this deck and still do really well with it if you're playing on ladder, but if you're trying to do well in tournaments, this deck still doesn't have the support or the the utilities needed to get there. Maybe if we got the Perfume spell card, the Monster Reborn for the deck, and a better skill with it, maybe this deck would be more competitive, but as it stands, it's definitely more of like a fun, casual deck than it is any kind of super competitive deck. But you're still going to be able to win games with this. The strategy for your deck hasn't changed too much, but I'll go ahead and go over the skill and then go through the deck list and what we're trying to do here with some short, quick gameplays. So our skill is the Lunar Whirl Lure. At the beginning of the duel, you got to add a blue cat, a purple butterfly, and a Lunalight Fusion to your deck, unless you have 3 copies of each. We are running 3 copies of Lunalight Fusion, so you don't have to worry about that, but we are going to get 1 copy of these added to our deck. Now, usually these kind of skills that add these random cards to your deck, and then you get some other skill along with it, there's a lot of them in the game, right, that apply to different archetypes. Usually they're not very good because you don't want to be adding extra cards to your deck. You usually just want to go with 22 or 20 cards, and then if you do add extra cards on top of that, you usually want them to be like your own, powerful back row cards or whatever else you're putting into your deck, right? But here, we're totally okay going to 22 cards and having a couple of them just be Lunalight monsters. You'll see when we get through the deck and how it plays, it ends up working out all right. And actually going just over 20 cards in the deck is totally fine. We don't want to draw our Lunalight Fusion too often. We still want to steal other things, and Tanky helps out with the consistency of this deck so we can afford to run the extra monsters in here. So we'll end up going with 22 cards in the deck. But the other reason why we really like the skill is we also get the Cat Dancer added to our extra deck as well. So we get that extra space in the extra deck. We definitely need it because we have a lot of rank 4s here, and we can get it's just a big toolbox to rank 4 engine, and we need as many spots for that available as possible. But of course, we have a D-draw skill with this as well. If your life points are under 1500 during your draw phase, you can get a Lunalight Fusion to your hand from your deck instead of your normal draw. It's kind of, like I said, kind of like Destiny Draw, a little bit better because you don't have to be at 2000 life points, otherwise you can get down by 1500. But it's also a little bit worse. You can only search for the Lunalight Fusion, and you can't search for a monster if you need it for that specific situation. So, as I said, our strategy with this deck really hasn't changed too much. There's really 2 main things we're doing. Either we're attempting to win through Lunalight Cat Dancer, which I'll go ahead and go into this right now. If you've never seen Lunalight Cat Dancer, can't be destroyed by battle. You only need 2 Lunalights to make it. It's got 2400 attack points. You can tribute another Lunalight monster you control, make a monster on your opponent's side of the build, on your opponent's side of the field, not be destroyed by battle by the first time. Actually, I think it's all their monsters that can't be destroyed by battle for the first time, but you only care about doing it once. Then you turn your opponent's monster attack points to 0 with Crimson Fox, and the 2 of them you get to hit your opponent for 4000 damage. Very easily kill them in 1 hit by just attacking into their monster twice that has 0 attack points. So that's one of the 2 ways you'll win a lot of games, and anytime your opponent leaves a monster in attack position on their side of the field, they're in danger of this happening to them, right? Because you can just send Crimson Fox to the graveyard with Fusion or whatever, turn their monster attack points to 0, and then use Cat Dancer to tribute off something else and attack it twice to kill them immediately with it. The other way to win would usually be through Lunalight Saber Dancer. This card just simply says you can't target this card with card effects, and it's got 3000 plus attack points. It gains a boost for every Beast Warrior in your graveyard. And it's just as simple as that. Certain decks just can't out something that has that much attack points and that can't be targeted, and you used to be able to win a lot of games like that. Now, with Yu-Gi-Oh! Progressing the way it has been in Duel Links, a lot of cards like Ice Dragon's Prison and other things have come out which have made it a lot easier to kill Lunalight Saber Dancer, and for that matter, the Leo Dancer. But there's still some decks that really do struggle to out the Saber Dancer and also the Leo Dancer, which fits into that same kind of, it's really hard to kill this thing, right? Can't be targeted, and it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, so things like Mirror Force, which can kill Saber Dancer, can't kill the Leo Dancer, and just make it a little bit more threatening to your opponent in that way. So it's really all Leo Dancer is just an improved version of Saber Dancer, so your deck is still just kind of doing the same thing. Either I'm going to kill you by quick attacking you with the Cat Dancer, because you left the monster in attack position, or I'm just going to summon this big beefy monster that is really hard to kill, and I'm just going to smash your face in with it, right? So going into the deck list, We only have 10 monsters in the main because, again, remember, we're going to have the blue cat and the purple butterfly added to our deck for a 22 card deck. So we have those 2 cards, and then we have 2 yellow marten. And I'll go through the Lunalights first. We also have 2 Crimson Fox and 1 Emerald Bird. I'm pretty sure that for most people, the 2 Marten, 1 Bird is the right way to go, and that I definitely like the way that it works with this deck. And then we have the 3 White Rabbit to bring back something from our graveyard. It's really the follow-up play that we usually use from turn 3 or onward. Again, you also have 1 copy of the Blue Cat and the Butterfly. Don't forget that. They're useful in their own right. One thing to remember about the Blue Cat is actually kind of difficult to use its effect. A lot of time, Blue Cat allows you to double the attack points of a monster on your side of the board, and it does come up occasionally, but unfortunately, though, Emerald Bird negates the monster's effect that it special summons, so a lot of times it's tough to do it unless you do it off the White Rabbit or something like that, so... I do have 2 Karibo in here. Now, this was Warning Point. I was trying that out, and you'll see actually a couple of gameplays where Warning Point was there and came up big time. I did switch up to Karibo at some point. It's a nice hand trap to use. Obviously, we talked about the Cat Dancer combo earlier. If your opponent leaves a monster on the field in attack mode, it's an easy potential OTK, and using hand traps to sort of bait your opponent into doing that is a great way to win still. It doesn't come up as often as it used to because back row, there's a lot of really strong back row cards in the game that your opponent might have, or monster effects to try to stop your plays, but nonetheless, so that still does come up where sometimes you can just bait them into attacking, get their monster in attack mode, and then kill it easily. The reason I'm using Karibos for a couple reasons. One, it doesn't have a weakness to Link monsters the same way that White Princess or even Sphere Karibo does. Obviously, those cards don't affect Link monsters for a number of different reasons, and we can't use the other, Kite Roy, because we have Crimson Fox in here, so we just don't have room for that card. So Karibo is sort of the next best one because of that, and also it's a dark attribute, which means it goes with the Allure of Darkness, just gives us extra targets for that, and it does come up. I also have 3 Book of Moon in here. You could take this out and run more Karibos, or run more Lunalight monsters for that matter too. There's no reason why you can't do that. You could also run triple Butterfly, and then you don't get the extra one with the skill, and then you can go down like a 21 card deck. So there's other ways you can play this out to run more Karibos, or you could run White Princess too. There's no reason why you can't run the White Princess if you want to run that instead. And it is better than Karibo in most situations, except for when it's a Link monster, and also of course you can't alert off, but that is another option. I did like the Book of Moons, though. 1, it does provide some additional protection if you're going first, if you're trying to stop your opponent's plays. And 2, obviously, if you're going second, it can shut down problematic cards your opponent has. There's a lot of monsters in the game nowadays that just have some kind of effect that try to interrupt your opponent's plays, and Book of Moon can be used to shut them down. It does come up. I know Speedroid, it just got nerfed with the most recent ban list, and their skills getting nerfed here coming up very soon. So that's fortunately not as much of a problem as it was beforehand, but Book of Moon is still really useful in a lot of situations. So I have 3 copies in here for now, but you don't have to run this. You can definitely choose other things. Now, you really do need 3 copies of Tanky to make this deck work the way it should. Yes, you can technically play this deck super budget without it, but this deck is just nowhere near as good without the Tanky, because it just allows you to search for your Emerald Bird, Yellow Marten combo so much more consistently than you would be able to otherwise. So Tanky just really important for the deck. 3 Lunalight Fusion in here, of course, staple card for the list. We have the 1 Leo Dancer, the 1 Saber Dancer, the 1 Panther Dancer that we never summon, we just use it to make the Leo Dancer. You can send it away off the Lunalight Fusion if your opponent has a extra deck monster on their side of the field, so you don't need to worry about actually going into this first. And then for our XYZ engine, I used all of these, but these are all rank 4s. We have the Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, 1 Fire Fist Tiger King. This card's really powerful. Any 2 level 4 Beast Warrior monsters, you can, when you summon it, you can set a Tanky from your deck to the field, and you can also detach from it to basically Dark Rule no more your opponent's side of the board. You negate all face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field. They get their effects negated. It's just super powerful just to be able to do that to your opponent with this 1 card here. We also have the 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare, also another really powerful card that people sometimes forget about in this game. This one definitely came up as well. And then the 1 number 70 Malevolent Sin. There's other good rank 4s you can run as well. These are just the 5 that I found the most useful, but there may be others that you consider as well. Either way, that's it for the deck list. Let's go ahead and get into the replays. We have a few short ones to get through. Okay, so these gameplays aren't going to be particularly long. Part of that's just the nature of the deck. This deck doesn't have any super long combo plays that you're doing. It's also just, real quick to try to win a game a lot of times. So game 1, we have a mirror match here, and this first game is really just to showcase, how to play mirror match. And a lot of times you really don't want to be the first one to summon a fusion monster to the field unless you're guaranteed to win, right? So obviously, if you put out a fusion monster or any kind of extra deck monster onto the field, your opponent who has a Lunalight card card can then Lunalight Fusion and send a monster from your deck or extra deck for free with it. So you don't want to be the first one to put an extra deck monster on the field. So our opponent went first, just set a card, that's totally fine from them. We're going to summon the bird, ditch, start cycling through our deck, and just punch him for 12 in the face and just sort of, get the damage going. Now our opponent's actually using Draw Sense Beast Warrior, kind of surprising, and using the Lunalight Serenade Dance. I didn't talk about Serenade Dance during the deck profile, so I guess now is a good chance to do so. This card has two different effects on it. Both of them have their uses. One of them, you special summon a Lunalight token to your opponent's side of the board. You can basically give your opponent any monsters you can swing over with the Cat Dancer. But the other effect of it is actually a graveyard effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, send a card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Lunalight monster from your deck. I feel like this card will be a lot better if we had the Lunalight Perfume to go with it, which makes it like easier to dump this card into graveyard. Also, we just don't have like a lot of easy ways to send this card to graveyard the way that we do in like Master Duel or the TCG, so that's why I don't have it in the deck, but it's still an option to consider if you want to go that route. So our opponent then go ahead and activates a Fusion Summon. He gets the Cat Dancer out now. He can swing over my monster. It's indestructible by battle. And if we can get another Lunalight monster to the board, he can tribute it off and try to go for the OTK there. But fortunately, we have the Book of Moon to shut it down. So we'll go ahead and do that. Book of Moon, flip his monster into face down defense position, protecting ours. Unfortunately, though, that also means we can't Lunalight. It may have been smarter to Book of Moon or Emerald Bird. That way he can't... he would have kept a fusion monster on the field. We could have gotten a free send-off with the Lunalight Fusion, but I think we're in a good position here anyways. We'll go ahead and activate the Lunalight Fusion, send away our stuff, bring out the Saber Dancer. We're then going to get the effect of the Emerald Bird to bring back the Blue Cat. Again, effect gets negated, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and White Rabbit, summon back the bird, go for the XYZ monster. We're going to bring out the Malevolent Sin, and then we're going to go ahead and send away his monster with the Malevolent Sin, and even though he has a hand trap here, it's not going to be enough. He'll be able to stop the Lunalight damage, but the other two monsters are going to come in, finish him off, getting the win for this one against the mirror match. Alright, so next up we had a matchup against Odd Eyes, probably the best deck post-ban list from what we've seen over the last few days since it was announced. Going first, we don't have a huge setup, so we're just going to go ahead and set our back row. This is kind of why I like having the Book of Moon and the warning points in here. They give you some protection if you just don't have the play turn one. A lot of times you don't have a great play turn one because you're just kind of dumping a monster out on the board and hoping it doesn't die, right? It doesn't really have like any interruption that you can use to try to stop your opponent. So opponent summons the Skulker Bat, go ahead and activates his scales. Activate the effect of the Dharma Eye. Then here we go, Raging Pendulum. Going to go ahead and get off his effects and everything to the top of the extra deck, giving him the free summons off of it. Free cards in his hand. Very powerful skill. Any kind of skill like this that just gives you free pluses or free +1 is extremely powerful. There's not that many in the game, but the ones that are there are really good. So he's going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon for 3, but we have the warning point here, and this is why I did kind of like this over the Karibo at times, but I did decide to go away from it, but it's still useful for situations like this. So basically shuts down his play for the turn. He can hit me for, I guess, 18 with the Skulker Bat if you wanted to. That's it. But we have the Book of Moon here. So we'll go ahead and Lunalight Fusion. He does. One other thing to note is that, remember, Lunalight Fusion says if your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, our opponent has a Pendulum monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. So it does fill the requirements for our Lunalight Fusion. We can go ahead and send a monster from our deck or extra deck from the graveyard. We're going to go ahead and do that now, and we're going to send away the Panther Dancer along with 2 cards so that we can make Lunalight Leo Dancer. Summon Leo Dancer to the board, and this is just basically, like I said, the other way to win games, right? If your opponent can't find a way to destroy this without targeting or without a destruction effect, if they don't have a way to bounce it with a non-targeting effect or something like that to eat it up, then a lot of times you're just going to win games because of it. So Leo Dancer, swing over his monster, blow up all special summon monsters on his side of the field. He's going to go ahead and Book of Moon, but again, he can't target my monster, so all he can do is just protect his life points by hitting his own monster. We'll swing over it, clean out his board, and there's just not a lot of ways to kill this thing. Lunalight Leo Dancer, sometimes, like I said, this card and your other Lunalight fusion monster that can't be targeted, sometimes you just summon them and you just win the game because your opponent just can't find a way to kill them. Anytime I play Master Duel, I always love using that rank 5 Link monster that you can use an opponent's monster as a material just to deal with super annoying threats like this. This and that stupid Blue Eyes monster with 4 hours attack with 4,000 attack points that you can't target or destroy with card effects. I hate losing those things in Master Duel, so I always run that Link 5 monster. You can just use one of their monsters as a material to link off with it if needed to get rid of those annoying things. So, but unfortunately that card does not exist in Duel Links, or fortunately in our case as a Lunalight player, so our opponent doesn't really have too many ways to stop us at this point. We're just going to go ahead and keep summoning our Lunalight plays, go for the extra fusion monster here, continue to get the effects off. Crimson Fox, turn his attack points to 0. He again has no way to out this, so we can just swing over his board and eventually just kill him, and he knows that, so he's going to surrender. Alright, now this is another deck that has been really popular since the ban list, and that's Trickstars. Trickstars didn't get hit with the list. A lot of other decks have taken hits over the last couple of lists, and this deck has still survived. So he summons Licorice in one back row. Not the best opening from Trickstars that we've seen. They usually like to have a little bit more, I think, on their opening plays, right? So we're going to go with the tanky first, search our deck for the Bird, discard the Martin, and if you didn't know, this is kind of like the staple Bird Martin play that I mentioned during the deck profile. You normal summon Emerald Bird, use its effect to discard a Lunalight monster from your hand, then draw a card, and ideally you want to discard Yellow Martin from your hand, because Martin's going to trigger its effect when it's sent to the graveyard to search your deck for Lunalight Fusion. So you're getting a big plus one off of that, and then you can use the Yellow Martin effect, if you like, to bounce the bird to your hand to special summon it from the grave. It will get banished if you do this, so just keep that in mind. So sometimes you may want to go for an XYZ summon with this just to dump it back in the graveyard so you can use the effect again, but other times it just doesn't matter because it's going to get banished, and then you can resummon it with the Emerald Bird, because Emerald Bird says when this card gets sent to the graveyard by a card effect, target a Lunalight monster that's banished or in the graveyard and special summon it. So sometimes you don't even need to do that. In fact, a lot of the time you don't need to do that, because Bird will just bring it right back to the board, because you're going to get an additional +1 off the Bird. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and continue to take the burn damage from his Trickstar monster. It's just 100 at a time, so it's not too big of a deal. We'll go ahead and Allure Darkness, get rid of the Karibo, and this is, I think, the point where I switched over to it. Again, that's part of the reason why I did it. Again, you'll see that just a lot of times you have Allure, you just don't really have the problem of not having dark monsters, but it's still nice to have the extra Karibos in there just in case. So go ahead and get the Fusion Summon off. That's going to trigger some effects here, though. Emerald Bird's effect, as I said, is going to trigger, bringing back the Yellow Martin from the graveyard. However, though, our opponent has the Ice Dragon's Prison. As I mentioned, this card is a huge out to your Lunalight plays. It does not target, it does not destroy, so it kills both your Leo Dancer and your Panther, or your Leo Dancer and your Saber Dancer. So this card is a huge threat, and one of the biggest threats you're going to face if you're playing Lunalights. You've got to be careful to watch out for Ice Dragon's Prison. Again, a lot of times you just can't play around it. If your opponent has it, they have it, but you can sometimes try to play around it, but it's very difficult to, because by nature, by fusion summoning, you're going to dump yourself to the graveyard and provide them fodder to activate this card. So it's okay, we still have a 2k defense monster in the field with the Yellow Martin to try to protect our life points here. Plus we have the Book of Moon to try to prevent a link play if we want to. Our opponent has the Light Stage, though, and the Candine, so you figure they're going to be able to dump more Lunalight monsters on the field, but we're going to go ahead and try and go for the Book of Moon play anyways, as he's trying to hit it with the Light Stage, prevent me from activating it, so figure go ahead and just activate it now. Force him to use up the Lycoris effect immediately. He still has a Core Bane, so he's still able to go for a number of different plays here, but he really needs to try to win on this turn, and if he can't, it could be problematic for him coming back with Lunalights, and in fact, it's not able to kill me there, so he's still going up to 6,000 life points. That is something, but our opponent has a extra deck monster on the field now, so that means that Lunalight Fusion is going to get the free send-off, and we have the White Rabbit to bring back stuff from our graveyard, so we do have effects that we could really use against our opponent here to devastate them. Plus, we have the Tanky that's going to let us search for another Lunalight card, so we're going to search for the Crimson Fox. Crimson Fox can turn a monster on his side of the field to 0 attack points. When we use it up for a fusion summon, which we're going to do here, activate the Lunalight Fusion, send away the Crimson Fox, send away Yellow Martin, send away the Panther Dancer from our extra deck. That's going to let us fusion summon the Saber Dancer to the field. Go ahead and get the cool little summon animation here. If you haven't seen it, it's a pretty badass one, in comparison to some of the other ones we have, so really like that one. Leo Dancer to the board now, Crimson Fox effect trigger, Yellow Martin effect trigger. We're going to turn his monster attack points to 0. Yellow Martin's going to let us get the Lunalight Fusion from our deck to our hand. And now we have another thing that we can do as well. Still taking the damage off of the Light Stage, that's okay. I'm not sure why he decided to go ahead and DD Crow at this point. And if anything, he hit the wrong DD Crow target, because we're going to go ahead and White Rabbit, use White Rabbit's effect to bring back the Blue Cat. Blue Cat can then turn my Leo Dancer up to double its attack points, which it's at 7,000 now. And again, his monster has 0 attack points, so we can just straight up swing over his monster and try to kill him here. Now, oh, he does have the way to stop it. So I did decide to go ahead and go for the Evil Swarm Nightmare, just in case for some reason we didn't manage to win on this turn, that we had a way to shut him down. And it's actually going to turn out to be really important here because he has the White Princess. That's going to, well, I guess it doesn't turn out to be important because we do get attacked twice, right? And blow up a special summon monster. So we hit him for 4,000 by swinging over this thing. That triggers the Leo Dancer second effect to destroy all special summon monsters in the field, which counts as his other monster because it was special summon. So we can swing directly and get the win on this turn without having to even need the Evil Swarm Nightmare. I believe we have another mirror match here, if I'm not mistaken. Facing quite a lot of these when I was playing over the last few days. Just obviously it's a newer deck and it's a budget deck that a lot of players have. A lot of people still go for Lunalights when they first get the game, and it's understandable why. So again, we want to play it slow. You don't want to be the first person to dump a extra deck monster onto the field. A little bit risky on our part, not playing anything on the board monster-wise, giving our opponents a chance to potentially OTK us. But it's Lunalights, and again, if you don't have something on the field, it's not always easy to put 4,000 attack points down. You can easily do like 3,000 some, but it's not always easy to put down 4,000 attack points on one turn with Lunalight. So we do survive here, and that's going to be big because now at turn 1 we were able to search for our bird. Next turn we're going to be able to search for Yellow Marten and get the major pluses off of our main combo play. So summon the bird, discard the Marten, get the draw 1, and the search for the fusion off the Yellow Marten. Use Yellow Marten's second effect to bounce bird back to hand, and look how far ahead of them we are on card advantage now. I mean, forget the tanky on the board, right? The first one that we activated, we got Yellow Marten 2 here plus 6 in hand. That's 8 cards to our opponent's 5, so we're already like plus 3 on them. Plus we're going to gain the plus 100 attack points off the tanky, just a little bit of an added bonus there on top of the card advantage. So we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to go ahead and go for the Lunalight fusion play first, bring out the Cat Dancer, and we're just going to take the risk, no risk it, no biscuit, and just hope that he doesn't have a way to shut this down. And if he doesn't have a way to stop our Cat Dancer play, we're going to get the easy win here because Red or Crimson Fox is going to turn his monster attack points to 0. We're going to summon a monster, use the Cat Dancer effect to tribute that monster so it can attack twice and make his monsters not be destroyed by battle the first time they would be destroyed. So swing over his monster, hit it for 26. Effect, swing again, easy one-turn kill on our opponent here. Don't forget about Cat Dancer's effect. It's an easy way to win games, and sometimes I see Lunalight players kind of forget that they have that, or they think about the Cat Dancer play too much and they forget about, just summoning the big old boss monster. But I don't think that should be too much of a problem now that Leo Dancer's out. Alright, so our opponent just setting 2 and passing turn 1. Not the best opening. We have the Allure of Darkness, sending away the White Rabbit. Again, this is a card you honestly use a lot of times in your follow plays. There are some turn 1 plays where you use White Rabbit, but it's not always. But nonetheless, so we got into our tankies and we got the bird. So now we can use the tanky to search for Yellow Marten. And again, we got our main combo play that we want to try to get out every game. And this is why tanky is so important, because without it, you're not going to be able to get it as consistently. So he decides to go ahead and compulse here. Now, that makes sense. Because again, a lot of the Lunalight monsters obviously can't be targeted, the fusion monsters anyway, so Compulse doesn't do anything against them, and it does stop me from bouncing back to hand with Yellow Marten. So that is, something on his play, but I mean, it just stops us for a turn, right? This is again why I like running the other back row. This is, I think, one of the early games when I was using Warning Point. It just gives us a way to protect ourselves. So our opponent summons the Yosenju. We're going to go ahead and try the Warning Point, but he's going to go ahead and compulse it back to hand. Going to have the Yosenjus to summon these all right back to the field. Super unfortunate. But I'm going to go ahead and decide to use up the Book of Move here. We're going to flip down the Isna. Isna allows him to continue to draw cards, and he doesn't have any back row right now. I don't want him to be able to draw any back row that he can set. He's going to be able to search one out, but he can't set it this turn. So we're going to have a free board to be able to play our monsters into next turn. So he does in fact do that. He searches for the Sword Sting, swings with his 2 cards, deals a bunch of damage, putting us at very low life points. But then he just has the face-down monster in his field with nothing else to protect himself. So we can use Tanky to search our Yellow Marten from deck. And once again, we can do our same combo play a second time because he bounced our bird back to hand. Discard the Marten, draw a card, search our deck for the fusion, bounce our bird back to hand with the Yellow Marten. Super duper combo play that's very difficult to stop. Go ahead and summon the Saber Dancer, keeping the Yellow Marten on the field, because what we're going to do is we're going to use the bird's effect when it's sent to the graveyard to special summon another level 4 from the graveyard to the board, so we can go into an XYZ monster, bringing out the Malevolent Sin, banishing his monster, clearing the way for an easy attack, so we get the easy win here. Alright, so this is a matchup against Dark Magician. This is another deck I think we'll be seeing a lot more of with the new ban list coming out and freeing up some of their cards off of it. Very interesting to see what people are going to be able to do with Dark Magician now that they're getting more support. So we have our combo play turn 1. Again, Tanky is our savior, helping us get to it so consistently. You definitely need it for this deck if you want to play it at its highest level. We also have the Warning Point for some protection here. Now, our opponent does have the circle. Circle is always a problem for any kind of decking. You're able to just banish so many things with it so easily. But we do have the protection with our Lunalight monsters not being able to be targeted. So just a little bit of reprieve from that there. He's going to summon the Conjurer. Just going to go ahead and decide to Warning Point this. See if we can try to get some... stop him from getting some advantage off of it, but that's okay. He still gets the effect, swings over a monster, but we do have the White Rabbit to follow up with. We have the Lunalight Fusion, so we're in a pretty good spot. And again, it's very difficult if you cannot stop Margits, kill monsters without targeting them. So we're going to go ahead and go for our Lunalight Fusion play here. Activate Diffusion, send the Panther Dancer along with our 2 other Lunalights. It's going to bring out our Leo Dancer. We're also going to get the effect of the Emerald Bird to special summon a Lunalight monster back to the field. So we'll go ahead and bring back the Yellow Marten to the board. Does trigger his effect, so he gets that free draw 1 and gets to set a back row to the field. Destroy his monster that will let him summon the Dark Magicians from his deck, both the Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. And he will get the Banisher card, however, well, actually, no, he doesn't get the Banisher card because it's in the damage step, that's right. And besides, you can't target Leo Dancer anyway, so even if you can target a card, it doesn't really matter. So swing over his monster, use the effect to clean out everything else that's on his board here. And then he's left with only 100 life points at this point. So I'm pretty sure at this point that I have everything in the bag. He does have another trick up his sleeve, though, that I was not expecting here. So he activates Magicalized Fusion. That's going to let him banish 5 spellcaster monsters from his graveyard to special summon the Quintet Magician. Magician comes in, and this is at 4,500 attack points. We don't have the butterfly in our hand to give our monster the 1,000 attack point boost, so he has an easy way to swing over our monster here. He does, swings over our other monster, leaves us without a board and only 100 life points. It's actually kind of a tough position here, but we do have it out here. So we're going to summon the White Rabbit. White Rabbit bring back the Emerald Bird. Bird let us discard the Fox. Fox is going to turn his monster to 0 attack points. Activate the Lunalight Fusion. Whatever back row he has isn't able to stop us, so we get the easy win versus Dark Magician. And that's all of our replays for today. So if you guys did like the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and I really do appreciate all the support you guys show and the comments and all the likes and everything. So thank you guys so much for that. I do appreciate it. If you guys have enjoyed the video, I do appreciate the support. So thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day.